Hello, everybody. Scott G with Pro Wrestling Logic here again, and it's been a while. I'm not going to promise to be here a ton. Health related challenges and other things have taken me away from being here as much as I'd like. What we are going to do is going to start doing things in a bit of a grouped format. So, what that means is a month at a time on whatever we're reviewing. Hopefully, that will open my schedule up a little bit. We're going to start the ECW review eventually, hopefully having everything, all the television episodes, pay-per-views, and the fan cams reviewed. Who knows if I get there with health and other challenges I have going on. But there's over 2,500, probably closer to 28 now, audios available for you to listen to, so check those out too. Hopefully we have also set up a new microphone system, so hopefully that's a little more helpful for those that were having sound issues before. In any event, this is the ECW April 6, 1993 debut edition of television. Jay Sully and Stevie Wonderful are your commentators, obviously not the best commentators in the world at the time. Todd Gordon comes out. He is the owner and promoter of ECW. Of course, ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling, or Eastern Championship Wrestling at the time, spinning off of the Tri-State Wrestling Alliance. I'd love to see some of their events as well. Maybe cover those at some point someday. Don't know if there's enough time in my lifetime to get to everything I want to do, though. Anyway, Gordon comes out, tells us we're going to have a television championship tournament over the next several weeks. Eddie Gilbert then comes out. He is thinking that he is going to be the special guest commentator that has been promised. However, Gordon summarily tells Gilbert that, in fact, he is not that special guest commentator, but instead the third announcer is former NWA champion and legend Terry Funk. Gilbert cries at this, well, fake cries anyway. That's probably one of the better parts of the show is the interaction between the two of them. It ends up being Funk, as mentioned, and Gilbert basically whines about this, calls Funk old, basically says he's not happy with that, and Funk wonders if Gilbert wants to get in the ring with him, and whether, if that were to happen, what would it mean for Gilbert if an old man were to beat him. And then Gilbert also Funk rather, also thanks the fans for supporting ECW as a concept. By this point, they'd been running for about a year or so before television began on Sports Channel Philadelphia. Remember, they were a very localized product for the first year and a half or so of their run, and so that's a little different. But anyway, Funk encourages the fans and calls them hardcore fans, and he appreciates and values them. Just really good to have that endorsement there. Anyway, we open with our first television match, the Super Destroyers, a mass tag team. Jason, who is in ECW later, they defend against the tag team, basically squash tag team of HD and EZ Rider. The Hell Riders, super basic match, designed completely to get the baby faces, or actually the tag team champions, over. Flapjack from the champions, a senton, and a power bomb. Really the highlights for this match. And then Hunter Q Robbins is out, and he demands respect and to be called Mr. By Terry Funk. Terry Funk doing the interviewing for the program, and Funk calls him Hunter Q Robbins the Turd. Third grade humor. Maybe Vince McMahon was behind ECW all that far back. But anyway, Robbins says he must be respected because he is the manager of the World Tag Team Champions. Already calling them World, which is kind of odd. Funk doesn't show him respect because he doesn't believe he deserves it. Then we get a ECW special, which is the music video, which I believe was in the original version. Of course, these are available on Peacock for your viewing pleasure, but I think this is actually the Sandman music video to Billy Joel's My Life, or Moving Out, one of the 80s Billy Joel songs. Might even be Big Shot. Regardless, Sandman is in that position. Sandman is the champion of ECW at the time. Tommy Cairo and Sal Bellomo are up next in the first round of the television title tournament. Bellomo, known in the Philly area, the tri-state area, for being an basically underneath guy for the WWF and the WWF for years, so gets a little bit of name value there. Tommy Cairo, by this point, is undefeated in ECW, so that gives him a good bit there. The manager of Bolomo is the Cosmic Commander, which is a rip-off dollar store party store version of the Grand Wizard. I think that's what he was supposed to be. He was known as the Cosmic Commander. Arm drags early by Cairo. Very basic punch kick. Chokeouts by Bolomo. Bolomo having the size advantage. Very basic match. Bolomo works the arm for several minutes, and Bolomo hits the back elbow, or Cairo hits the back elbow. Basically, some underselling by Bolomo, who at points doesn't want to go off his feet. Cross body for a near fall by Cairo. Cairo is supposed to be your babyface for the match. Appearance from Johnny Hotbody, who apparently there's an angle between the announcers do a little bit of underselling with the angle between Hotbody and Cairo. Hotbody tries to jump Cairo, and there's a miscue which leads to Sal Bolomo getting counted out on the outside of the ring. Victory for Cairo. Cairo remains undefeated and says that Sports Channel is where it's at for ECW in a very short, less than 15 to 30 second, almost inset promo. Rockin' Rebel is out next, facing off against Larry Winters. Larry Winters and Tony Stetson are facing off against Tony Stetson. Winters and Stetson going to play a pivotal role over the next few months in ECW, as they are going to be facing off as the main babyface tag team in the promotion against the Super Destroyers, or tag team champions. Tony Stetson basically wants to get at the Rocking Rebel. Rocking Rebel at the time is the number one contender for the Sandman's ECW championship. Rebel is very big on stalling. Of course, he later chose to end his life, and I believe murder-suicide pact with a girlfriend at the time or something of that nature. But Rebel, known throughout the tri-state area for several years for being a guy who owned a ring and rented stuff out. Classic heel-related stuff here. Stetson and Winters, as mentioned, mainly do a lot of tag team work, arm drags and basic hip tosses from Stetson, and then Rebel gets kicked in the backside for a bit of a funny spot. I will say Rebel is interacting with the crowd more than lots of people do, which is a good thing here. Next several minutes are pretty basic as Rebel tries to cheat and keep the match going in a more basic direction. Rebel hits a back elbow and a standing drop kick, breaks down to chin locks. Sidewalk slam also by the Rebel, and for a moment Stetson turns around the momentum, gets a top rope leg drop for his trouble. Rebel manages to cheat and use his feet on the ropes to get the victory. He then says he's going to go on to defeat the Sandman for the ECW championship and be a champion, even doing a mock Ric Flair woo. Then we go to Superfly Jimmy Snuka, obviously mainstay in the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York area, which is for the most part at this point in ECW's history, Pennsylvania is the majority where they are. So Superfly Jimmy Snuka, a good fly-in for them. He thanks the fans for watching. He says he's happy with the fans in TV land. It's obvious that Snuka's a little out of it. You can just tell by his eyes and his walk and his gait. But he brings out his new manager, Eddie Gilbert. Eddie Gilbert, of course, part of the beginning of the program, as we've mentioned before. Gilbert also says he's restarting Heart Stuff International. That's where things are. And we go to the Television Championship Tournament. And Larry Winters is the opponent for Snuka. Super basic match, however, Jimmy Snuka even falls over off a backdrop here. Gilbert comes in and is in Snuka's corner, tries to help his man to win the matches. Very basic punch kick and chokeouts by Snuka. Snuka here is, basically phoning it in, but he's got enough of a name value at the time. And he hits chops, comes back, and There's a crossbody and dropkick by Winters. Comes back a little bit, distraction and a trip by Gilbert, and Gilbert is able then to get things going back in the direction for Jimmy Snuka, and then Snuka hits the backbreaker and the Superfly Splash for the victory. Then we move to the return of Sal Balomo. He comes in, hits a squash match that runs about 2 or 3 minutes. Basically hits a body slam and a pin on his opponent, trying to get his heat back to end the show. With more television championship matches going to happen next week. That's the main focus here, is the television championship tournament, and that is our first ECW review. As mentioned, these are going to come out in packs, so you'll have all of April up on the same day. Keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Till next time, everybody.